on the vlog again. Just can't wait to do a vlog again. The life I love is making vlogs for my friends, and I can't wait to do a vlog again. Doing a vlog again. Going places that I've never been. Seeing things that I may never see again. And I can't wait to do a vlog again. Hello everyone and welcome back to The Top Vloggers. As always, I am your host, High and Mighty Joe, hanging out with
your co-host, the lovely Cat.
And as you can see, we have Aaron in the back. It should be another great vlog today. We are headed to the historic home of Dr. James Ford, a Civil War doctor, I believe. It should be fun, exciting, and educational.
You can join us on all of our social media websites, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at The Top Vloggers. Also, if you'd like to help us reach the top, you can do so by going to www.patreon.com/thetopvloggers. Without your help and support, these vlogs will be almost impossible to do. There will be a link in the description below.
And if you are new here, you can hit that subscribe button, take it one step further, and ring the notification bell to keep you up to date on all the future adventures that we will be going on our channel. So let's get going. Today's vlog brings us to the Dr. James Ford historic home. Let's go inside and take a look. Now we are in the family parlor, and right here it says Dr. James Ford agreed to purchase this property in 1838. Now we are here in the family parlor. As you can see, now, Dr. James Ford agreed to purchase this property in 1838, and in 1841, he moved his family to Wabash from Connorsville. Dr. Ford description of the residence at this time is recorded in the history of the Ford family. Dr. Ford writes, over time, Dr. Ford designed and planned multiple additions to the house to acclimate his growing family, including this room right here that we're in right now. Throughout the years, life in the Ford house was full of activity, from the joyful chaos of young children to more formal adult social gatherings. This parlor was a room for entertaining guests, but on quiet evenings, it was also the center of the family life. So we're going to take a look around and see some of the things. It says Helen Ford right there. Look like there's a pair of old reading glasses. Look at that chair. That's something, isn't it? Now, only the first floor of the home is available and open today. Now, musical talent was nurtured in the children. Edwin Holton played the flute, and Mary Elizabeth studied music in Chicago, and Nancy Ann received piano training in Friendship, New York. The talent of the children was surely entertaining for guests who would come to their home. And there's a picture of them. Take a gander over here. Oh, look at that. There's another nice, beautiful chair. And some pictures on the wall. And then, of course, this would be, I guess, what you would consider their library. This is a bunch of the books that they would have had, or have, I guess. Here is another picture on the wall. And here's a few more. Illustrated historical atlas of the state of Indiana. That's pretty cool. And then, of course, over here you have Council of War by John Rogers, American artist, 1829 to 1904. Cast plastered right there. And a beautiful piece it is. And then, of course, this would be the piano that they would have played on. There's America Holton Ford right there. She was born in 1819 and was raised on a Kentucky farm. When she was 14 years old, her family moved to Indiana, where she met a young Dr. James Ford. And then, of course, as we saw earlier, there is a picture of Dr. James Ford, and he was born January 17th, 1812, in Cadiz, Ohio, which, for you guys who know me, I am a huge Clark Gable fan, and that is the same hometown as Clark Gable. So, and then of course you see some of the other things that they would have had here. After traveling 6 days over snow and indescribably bad roads in very cold weather, we landed in Wabash, America, Holton Ford said, recalling the journey to Wabash that ended February 4th, 1841. On the 5th day of June 1837, I was married to Miss America Holton. On Friday the 10th of June, we took charge of our house and spent a happy summer and autumn. Dr. James Ford. And Wabash was a small village then and contained 26 families, equal to about 125 inhabitants. Nearly all lived in round log cabins. The Miami Indians occupied the south banks of the Wabash River, and few white people lived in the reserve. So we're going to take a walk into this other room. See what they got in here.
This is where the kids would do their schoolwork, where they would entertain the family and all those things. It's one of the few rooms in the house that has a fireplace, which is odd to me, I guess. You know, you think of most homes of this era having fireplaces in every room. But there's only two, this one and that one in there. Like I said, this was originally the kitchen. And that was the first room that was added on to the house. This is when it started growing. And then the next room that was added on is the kitchen behind us. Oh, looks like somebody's a little sleepy there.
Check out these pictures.
I am not sleepy.
This kitchen actually had to serve 9 people. And it's a little small for that purpose.
Definitely a beautiful home.
It actually used to be double the size. Because the wall was put up when the house was being restored. The other side's a modern kitchen, because they needed it for reception and things like that. So the kitchen was actually cut in half, but it used to be double this size. It did have an indoor water, which is unusual, nice in the wintertime, you didn't have to go outside. It has a cistern, or had a cistern in the basement that was used for washing kids, washing clothes, watering the gardens, and things like that. Of course, Dr. Ford would have never had that formal garden that's out there now, the edge of the house. That would have been a big waste of money. He would have had it planted in fruit trees, vegetables, herbs, things like that he would have needed to treat patients. So that would he would have done that. And there was also a big barn at the edge of the property. I think the property was much, much larger when he lived here. I think it went all the way over to Cass Street and all the way over to Miami Street. And probably all the way down to Main Street, I would guess. The things in here are pretty authentic to the time period. The wash tub and kids tub would have been much, much bigger, of course, back then, but since they cut the size of the room down, they had to cut the size of the wash tub down, that's where they would wash their clothes and wash the kids. And the story goes that you probably maybe have heard that old saying, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Well, the way they decided who go first was the oldest kid. He got the warm water and the clean bath water. And as it went down, and when it got to the baby, they couldn't find the baby. So they had to make sure they didn't throw him out with the, with the bath water. At least that's the way the story goes. Pretty good. So the water was heated in that unit there beside the stove. The irons you see were for, of course, ironing the clothes, and for, actually the one back to the back was to iron the collars on the, the collars and the cuffs on men's shirts, make them really stiff.
It says there was rattlesnakes when they came here.
What's that?
It says there was rattlesnakes when they came here.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's still some rattlesnakes in Indiana.
Oh, is there?
Southern Indiana, anyway.
I'm glad they're not here anymore.
I am not a snake lover.
I'm not either.
I don't care if it's old garden,
That's what
garter
I mean.
snake. I'm not a lover.
Especially rattlesnakes.
You have any questions? Nope. Okay. This would have been part of the original edition in here. Dr. Ford did not practice medicine in this house. He actually practiced medicine at the edge of the property in a brick building out there that was tore down years and years ago. And the decision was made not to restore it. But they still wanted to show a little bit about the surgery and about doctor's practice and what he did. And that's the reason why they moved it in here. This would have probably been the men's parlor back in those days. And that would have been the ladies' parlor in there. So that's where the ladies would have spent their time after dinner, and this is where the men would have spent their time. That door over there was not originally there. It was probably added on when this was turned into an apartment house. Our guess is, anyway. Oscar is a real skeleton. It's not the original skeleton. Oscar was a war veteran from the Civil War, and Dr. Ford continued to treat him after they came home. And when Oscar died, he willed his body to Dr. Ford. And Dr. Ford used it to teach young surgeons and young doctors the practice of medicine. And as I said, that's not the original, and that's on loan from the museum to us. We believe the original one is probably out in the closet in the Wabash High School. And actually, we had a doctor through here, and he said that's actually not a male skeleton, it's a female skeleton. He said because of the hips and things like that. So whether it is or not, I don't know.
It does look to be more female than male.
Yeah. Actually, this is a representation of Dr. Ford's son, James, and he actually practiced medicine along with his doctor for years. And he did actually lose his blade. He was downtown having coffee one morning, and somebody came in and said there was a medical emergency up north of town. He came up here and grabbed his medical bag and started across the railroad tracks, and there was a train across the tracks. He waited for a while and it didn't move, so he figured it was stuck there. He climbed underneath it and it lunged forward, and he lost his leg. So Dr. Ford had to actually end up doing surgery on his son, removing his leg. Dr. Ford was also one of the few doctors, actually in the country, that did eye surgery. And the reason what prompted him to do that was a lot of the guys coming back from the Civil War had lost their eyes and they had to wear eye patches over it. So he went to Philadelphia and studied for a month eye surgery. And when he came back, he brought artificial eyes with him and the equipment that would needed to be extracting an eye and replacing it with an artificial eye. And actually, his granddaughter, he had to do surgery on her because she lost her eye. And he had to replace that eye with on that. So he's had to operate on two family members. These are just some representations of what all this equipment's been provided by the Wabash Medical Society, and we appreciate that. So it's just to give a representation of what it would look like back in the day. This is a stethoscope. And it was invented by a Frenchman. And the story there goes that the Frenchman, when he would do a female examination, he'd have to put his ear up to their chest to listen to their heartbeat, and they weren't particularly happy about having his ear up against their chest. So he invented the stethoscope, and this was the early runner of that. And it works perfectly today. We have the kids try it on each other, you know. And I always wait for one kid to say he can't hear, and that's starting to worry me. But so far, they've all been able to hear. Maggots and leeches are used even today in healthcare. Maggots are used to eat away dead skin, to refresh the skin. And maggots are used a lot of today in plastic surgery to get the blood flowing back, and they place those on an area. If somebody's had a big hematoma, it'll eat the blood, suck the blood out, and so it'll start healing. And the reverse is also true. If they're not getting blood to a wound that they need blood to, they put a leech on there and they'll bring the blood up to the surface. So it's used today. Yeah. This is a pill maker. This is also a pill maker, but a different type. I joke with the kids when they come through here on tour. I ask them what it is. First of all, a lot of them think it's a bullet maker. Well, it is to a certain extent. It's a suppository maker. And I said, you can have the teacher explain that to you when you get back to school. I'm not going to. But the pill maker is sort of neat. As I said, most of the medicines back then came from herbs and things like that he grew in the gardens and things. So he'd smash them up in the mortar and pestle, and it would get sort of runny or something. And they would roll it out into a long, look like a worm, and lay it across here, and then run this down. And as they did that, that caused it to form little pills. Necessity is the mother of invention, I guess. So that's just a few things in here. Reception area, like I said earlier, I think it was probably the ladies' parlor of the day where they would meet after dinner and things like that. Some women said, yeah, I'll probably to knit, crochet, do whatever, and also gossip. And I said, that's probably right. The tree you see there in front of the house is actually still here today. It sits right out there. That tree's over 200 years old. It's a little bigger today than it was back then. This is the house as it looks today. As I said, this is the way it starts. It started out, this was that one-room house that 5 members of the family lived in. And then as the family grew, they needed a bigger kitchen. So they added this on, and that was a kitchen and dining room and everything else. I guess today we'd say it was a family room. And then later on, as the family grew more, they needed a larger kitchen. So that's what was added on back here. It's back in that we were just in. And then the last addition that was added on in 1850 was this addition. And this contains the bedroom and the parlor in here and the parlor here and things like that. So that's the way the house sort of grew over the years.
Do you know what
Any
year was that
questions?
picture taken?
What's that?
What year was that picture taken?
Actually, I think his image is superimposed on that picture because I think the house that's after it was restored. So I think it's a fairly new picture.
Oh, really? It looks
And
very old.
He's been superimposed upon on it, and America's sitting over there on the porch, and I think she's been superimposed on it. You can do anything with Photoshop nowadays, because when when Richard Ford bought the house back in 2002, the house was missing that bay window, the porch on the front, all of the balconies up above, the porch on the back of the house, and the widow's walk up on the top. Well, there's a picture of it down there. So I would assume that had to be a lot newer picture. I don't know, because of the guttering and everything. I may be wrong. I really don't know, to be honest with you, I guess. I always assumed it was. And you know what happens if somebody does that?
Yeah.
But there shows the house being restored up there. Anybody else in their right mind would have tore it down. I always joked, and I joked with Richard too. See, you know, I said everybody else in their right mind would have tore that down. He says, it's a good thing I'm not in my right mind, and I said, you're right. He did have a dry sense of humor. You had to get to know him. Please sign our register if you haven't. I'd love to have a record of you being here. Same here. I'd love to have you sign our register for us. These are some of the artifacts that were found in the house and the walls. This is the way they determined some of the things for the house. The blue wool of China was found in the house, so they added that to the dining room so it would be authentic. Amazing the amount of money they found in the house. And of course the house, back when it was being restored, had wiring in the house. That all had to be tore out and put back in. Had to have new plumbing put in throughout the house. So that's the way they determined some of the things that were found in the house. Any questions on anything?
Well, thank you very much.
Well, you're more than welcome. Thank you for visiting. I always enjoy talking about the house. Like I said, you're welcome to walk back through and take all the time you want.
Okay, thank you. Excuse me, I didn't mean to.
Oh, you're fine.
Thank you.
Good job.
No hurry. And the same goes for you guys. You're welcome to walk back through the house and
Check out that.
check everything out in more detail.
That is an old cash register right there.
I'm not.
That is for sure.
Thank you for coming.
And then of course, this would be the outside of the house from the side. And then this would be the back. And then this would be the yard that they would have had. Of course, according to that guy, property was probably much bigger at that when they lived here. Well, thank you so much for coming on this vlog. I hope you guys had a tremendous time. As always, I enjoy bringing them to you. I wish we would have been able to see the upper level, but they just had the bottom level open today for free because they want to entice people to come back and see the rest of the house. And I think that we may be able to do that here in a couple of weeks before we head out. I think that's going to do it for us here today. We will see you again tomorrow with another vlog just for you guys. Until then, Top Vloggers out.